You're listening to The Sports Fix.
Portions of The Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, The Sports Fix on social media, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Join The Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
Hi, I'm Hector Marinero. You're listening to The Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Hello, indeed, everybody. Welcome into the Sports Fix. We are on the air. It is Wednesday. It is, let me do this right. It is Hump Day, baby, here on the Sports Fix. And as always, a chock full of goodness lineup here on the Sports Fix today. Let me tell you guys, behind the scenes stuff that you wouldn't know, which is why I'm telling you now. But this show, today's lineup has changed half a dozen times since 7 o'clock this morning. I'm telling you, man. One thing after another, tweaking things around, but it's all good. It's all lined up and taken care of today. But yeah, it's been an interesting morning already behind the scenes. We are on the air. Of course, the Indians got back to work last night. Mike Brandyberry from DidTheTryWinLastNight.com is going to join us, and I can hear you already. Some of you grumbling as, you know, what a way to get back to it. And I got to tell you, a bit disappointed myself. Mike and I are going to have, we're going to have some disagreements, I think, in today's conversation. Because Mike, there's no hiding it. I'm positive that he has firmly got his sights focused on 2015 and all of that. And I'm looking forward to our conversation. Man, I'm that guy. I can't walk away. I got too much invested in this thing. But as Mike said in a text message this morning, he goes, step number one, Cleveland, has got to stop waiting for the 10-game win streak. And I hear you, man. Trust me, this is going to be an interesting conversation. Last night, not a terrible performance by Trevor Bauer, but one bad inning did him in, and that's all it took. It doesn't matter. That's what it took, and the Indians fell last night. Tonight, great matchup, but it gets no easier with King Felix and his sub-2 ERA on the other side of the line, and it continues to go on. Tomorrow's the trade deal. And you know what? We're going to talk about that. I've heard some things. There's a lot of things up in the air. Matter of fact, I just heard from somebody a few minutes ago that said nothing specific, but the Indians front office saying, you know, buckle up, be prepared for some things going on. And so we'll see. I've got my ideas on a couple of things that are going down, some things that I've heard about. So we're going to talk about all of that here just a little bit. Matter of fact, just about 30 minutes from now, Mike Brandyberry from DidTheTryWinLastNight.com will be with us. Dan Wismar, as always, on Wednesdays. Wismar on Wednesdays, baby, from the Cleveland Fan. Dan's going to be with us here today. We'll talk some, of course, Tribe with him and Browns, but Ohio State, a couple of things I want to get into with Dan, talk a little bit about the media day. Urban Meyer had some comments, and also, we didn't even really get into it, but today's a perfect day. I want to talk to Dan a little bit. Some of the, I don't know if you guys have heard, some of the stuff coming out the band of the kind of the controversial situation going on with the best damn band in the land. So we're going to talk about all of that stuff, some Buckeyes, some Browns, some Indians, and who knows what with Dan Wismar when he comes up. Going to open up the phone lines to you. Got the news of the day to get into, all of that. As always, let's coordinate the madness. I'm the conductor of this bad boy right here, the madness, if you will. J-Rock, Jerry Myers, the big daddy on the microphone. Welcome in, you guys, to the Sports Fix across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Whether you're listening live on TuneIn and Spreaker and Mixler, hola to each and every one of you, or on their respective radio and digital applications. Hello and a shout out to each and every one of you that listen every day on digital delay 24 hours a day around the world, whether it's on the world's largest internet radio network, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, all the podcast formats, Spreaker, CarPlay, all the different ways you may download the show as well. However you listen, each and every one of you is part of the Sports Fix family and nation, baby. Thank you guys for being with us here today. I always say it. Not my show, our show, your show, more than even that. So do the thing. Make it your show. Own this thing right here. Pick up the phone and give me a call. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. If you can't get to the phone, all good, baby. We still want to talk to you. Get to the Facebook. Get to the Twitter. Hit up your social media. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Always 24/7 and live during the show to stay in touch with the sports. Matter of fact, the phone lines are already going there. So we're going to go to the phone lines in just a minute. We're talking Indians a little bit. You know what? I'll tell you what. I had some things I wanted to talk about, but forget it. I'm going to push myself back. I'm going to give it to you. I just went through the whole spiel that it's your show. I can't lie now. Go into the phones. Caller, you're first up on the Fix.
Good morning, J-Rock.
Good morning. Hey, that's my man, Bruce. What's happening, man?
Hey, with the trade deadline coming up, I found some little bit of interesting information.
What do you got?
Okay. Back in, it goes back a ways, like 1908.
Oh, and that kind of information. Okay, you had me. I thought you had some information.
No.
I was going to say, where's Asdrubal going? But since we're not talking
No, we
about
don't
that,
have
okay.
that or Masterson either.
Just yet, because they're.
No, not yet.
I think they're going. But anyways, go ahead. 1908.
1908. The Indians were proposed a trade with the Detroit Tigers. Now, in 1908, the Indians finished a half a game behind the Tigers in the standings.
Okay.
So this makes this story even worse. But the Tigers wanted to trade Ty Cobb to the Indians, and they offered Ty Cobb for an outfielder named Elmer Flick. Now, Elmer was just a normal, run-of-the-mill outfielder from what I understand. And the owner of the Indians at the time, this Charles Sumner, he decided not to make the deal because he didn't want Ty Cobb's attitude on the team. He thought it would bring down morale and, even as much as he could help the Indians, his attitude would bring the team down. So he didn't make the trade. Well, needless to say, Elmer Flick played 3 more years with the Indians, a total of 99 games.
Meanwhile, Ty Cobb went on to one of the great careers in baseball.
Yeah, he 12-time batting champion and 367 lifetime batting average.
So not from the Indians' perspective, but from the other team, the best trade sometimes is the one that you don't make. We hear that a lot.
Well, I was thinking, if the Indians would have made that trade, it probably would have changed baseball history and definitely Indians history.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt at all. Could you imagine that? Yeah, for sure. They'd have won a couple of titles instead of just the one World Series in that run. But
we might have won the division by a half a game.
There you go.
Or the league.
There you go.
So
interesting.
Interesting. With the trade deadline, I wanted to pass that on to the listeners to see if anybody knew about the story.
Listen, if there's somebody that I need to go to for the thing that you just go, wow, I don't know how you know that, but it's cool that you know that. You are the man for that, Bruce. That is for sure.
I have been called the walking encyclopedia of useless knowledge.
They're not lying about it, my man. But that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Before we wrap up the phone call, I'm just going to ask you the same thing I've been asking everybody the last few days. Tomorrow, trade deadline. Friday, Asdrubal, Masterson. Are either one or both of them on the Indians?
I think the Cabrera is going to the Giants. They're looking for a middle infielder.
That's what I'm
thinking.
They have
a couple of not top of the line, but second or third starting pitching.
Right, they got some middle pitching prospects, Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I've got them right here on my list. San Francisco as like one of the two teams that I think is zeroed in there on him. Oakland, another one. And what about Masterson? I think
he's going to Boston.
Really? See, I'm going somewhere else. I see Masterson going. I think he ends up in St. Louis. Remember yesterday I was saying I think a National League would be the place for him to end up. I think St. Louis may be a good destination. I know I've heard that he's one of 3 or 4 guys that the Cardinals have definitely had their scouts looking at the last couple of weeks. So that's somewhere I could see him end up. I mean, but who knows?
Okay.
But I think he's gone.
And I went
think
the
he's gone
opposite
for
way.
sure.
I went to Boston because they're unloading their pitching staff, and they're going to need a couple arms. And they're willing to get rid of a couple of minor league prospects.
I mean, we know Lester's gone. They pulled him from his start today. They pulled him
Right.
yesterday from the start
Pulled him
today.
last night, right?
Yeah, so that means that a trade's coming. It's just a matter of where's he going to end up. You know where I heard that nobody is talking about? The place that I heard that Lester ends up? Pittsburgh.
No, I heard the Dodgers with an agreement that at the end of the year he re-signs with the Red Sox.
Well, he did mention that he would be willing to come back to Boston, but I'm telling you, I got some guys up in Pittsburgh that say they were burning up the phone, the Pirates, and trying to put something together. I don't know if they can. They've got some things to play with, in the system. So I don't. But man, and that's a totally non-Pittsburgh type of move right there. But I mean, I'm telling you, if you're looking for a dark horse to end up with him, look for Pittsburgh. I mean, you may be right, too.
Remember, the last couple of years, Pittsburgh's been making some pretty bold moves.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm saying, man, when I heard, hey, do not count out the Pirates, I said, you know what? That you may be onto something there. But really, I would look at them as a dark horse right now, Pittsburgh. Look for them. I mean, I've heard the Dodgers, and, that's a big money, and that would make sense. And who else? Baltimore is another team that's been rumored to be out there.
Baltimore's looking for any arm they can find, though.
Yeah, well, they got $50 million tied up in Ubaldo, man. So, yeah, they are. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on Pittsburgh ending up with Lester there. I would love for us to be saying the Indians, although I do know a couple of people that they're looking at. Matter of fact, I think, I'll get into it with Mike in a little bit here, but
well, I wanted to see Masterson go to Texas, but that apparently their team has already been, picked over like vultures. So
yeah, no. The Indians have talked to Texas. They have talked about Rios, though. The thing is his power is down this year. I think he's only got like 4 or 5 home runs, but he's still hitting 300. He's still getting on base. He's got his slugging percentage is not what it used to be, but he's got a history. I don't know. That's somebody I've heard, but he's not owed a ton left for this season, but I think next year he's under contract for about $13 million, so that would be prohibitive. But that's the kind of guy the Indians would trade for because they would get him for the rest of this year and for next year. So maybe
if we only got him for $13 million, we're actually saving money if we can package Cabrera and Masterson together.
Well, and depending on where he goes, Texas is probably willing, because they've done it with other trades, Texas may be willing to pay some of the money on that deal, too, to move him out of the way, So who knows? Like I said, his power numbers aren't there. His last 2 seasons, he's combined, he had 40, almost 45 home runs. He was at 25 2 years ago, and he had 18 last year before falling off here this year. But, that's one, because of him being under control next year. I believe it's a club option is what it is. It's $13.5 million for next year. That I could see something that would at least interest the Indians. But I think Texas would have to pay some of the money there. But as we've seen, Ryan Rayburn, say what you want. He is most likely the Detroit Ryan Rayburn was more like the rule, and the Cleveland Rayburn last year was the exception to the rule. So you're going to have to shore up one of those spots out there next year. We know that.
Okay, and Colorado, from what I understand, is ready to have a fire sale.
And that's the thing, and that's why I don't just look at this deadline as the deal, because
because you got the waiver,
which those are harder.
Afterwards.
Yeah, those are harder, but they're doable, and more teams will have fallen off, including maybe the Indians. They will either be closer or further away in a couple of weeks. So all of these teams that right now are still within, 7 games, even 7 games at this point is still, you can